And we're back. There's always like a little pause. Like I pushed go live and then it was like, do you want to go live? And I was like, no, I just pushed that button for no reason.
Just for giggles.
Exactly. I wanted to see what would happen. So
just to drive some people nuts, by the way, I'm using my serrated slip joint to cut some bread. And what's going on, Joe?
What's up, Crispy, Budget, Mark Parks, Craig Vincent, BC Gerbs, Palmer, Angelo. Thank you all. Neil McKenzie, Lancelot, Craig Vincent, Kevin C. Thank y'all for jumping over here and continuing to join us tonight.
Just from Neil McKenzie.
That's awesome. What's up, Jacob? We are up late. What's up, Twang Thang?
Twang Thang, what's going on, brother?
Some of us are up a little later than others, too, because I think we got some East Coasters in here who are 3 hours ahead of me and Sherif, because we're both on the West Coast.
The West Coast, the left coast.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best coast.
Did you watch the Super Bowl, Sherif?
No, I didn't. I don't have like the NFL package, you know, but I was keeping abreast. I was kind of out of it when the Lions didn't make it, you know, but it is what it is. Dude, I was expecting actually like San Francisco to win. And like, since I'm in Northern California, basically like the place would have gone nuts. And the end of the game came and I was watching the updates on Google for like the score. And it was just dead silence everywhere. I was like, oh no.
What's up, Josh?
How was it?
It was pretty good. We had it on in the background because same thing. I was like, I really wanted to, like, I stole my brother's streaming service so I could watch it because he went over to his girlfriend's parents' house to watch it. And so we were watching it like in the background, but like once it was Kansas City and San Francisco, I was like, I want San Francisco to win, but I know Kansas City's gonna win. And so like my heart was rooting for San Francisco, but I put $20 on Kansas City to win. And so I was like, either way, I'll be happy. Like if Kansas City loses and San Francisco wins, I'll be happy because Kansas City lost and it was only $20. But if San Francisco loses, that $20 became like $90 or something like that. So I was like, okay, I'm happy with that.
Way to hedge your at least emotional bet.
Exactly. I had a buddy who was like, these are the bets you need to make. And he had like 4 bets. And it was like a total of like $60 that you bet. And regardless of what happened, if you at least won one of them, you made your money back plus some. But like if you won 2 of them, because like 2 of them were for San Francisco, parlays for San Francisco, and I've never done sports betting, so I really didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But 2 of them were parlays for San Francisco to win. So like the team to win plus a couple other things to happen during the game.
Sure.
And 2 of them were Kansas City to win plus a couple other things to happen in the game.
Yeah.
He's like, if the 2 Kansas City one wins, you get like $210. If the 2 San Francisco ones, you get like $400. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then after the game was all said and done, I asked him, I was like, hey, Kansas City won. Did your things happen? And he was like, no. I was like, so you just lost $60. And I did $20 and did way better than you.
Dude, this is why like I so rarely bet money, you know, because I just like I don't have that kind of luck.
No,
at all.
that's. I mean, that's why like mine was a $20 emotional. Like I knew I wasn't gonna go out. We weren't gonna buy a bunch of food for it or anything. So I was like, this is my $20 Super Bowl entertainment. Where if the team I want to win loses, I'll at least be happy because I won some money.
Nice. Nice. I think that's the smart call, man.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, there's some of those people out there that have the Midas touch when it comes to like betting and stuff like that, Yeah, look, Palmer lost like $2 bills, man.
$2 on Brock Purdy. That's tough.
Yeah. And one of my friend who lives in Japan now, he was one of those guys. He would literally go to Vegas and he could not leave Vegas without coming up at least 3-4 grand.
That's insane.
Yeah, I hated him for it. I was just like, bro, can I just give you my money to bet? He's like, no, I never do that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, damn it.
I can understand that though, because if he wins 2-3 grand all of his time, and then the one time he takes your money, he loses everything.
Exactly. People get also really funky about money and betting,
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Joe's got some work. That's awesome, though.
3 to 4 weeks currently.
If y'all haven't picked up one of Joe's trays, I have 2. I'm bougie like that. They're both awesome, man. Like, I've got the blue one by my desk that's like full of like my EDC like dump right now. The other one is the kind of aquamarine and like tan leather one.
Yeah.
It's more, I guess you could kind of call it aqua. But anyways, regardless, that one is at my my quality control area. And then I've got like my tools just to make sure if I need to center something. I've got my stack of like QC cards, stickers, like, yeah, dude. They're dope. Go get one, you guys. They're pretty awesome, I gotta say. I love them. Favorite EDC tray so far.
He's got the mint green tray with the purple dye, avocado green tray with the chocolate dye, and then the teal tray with the brown walnut dye right now. I have the blue one of the teal one. So it's that same design, but it's the blue version. Here, I'm going to show this so people can see it because these are pretty sweet.
Did you get an EDC Roundtable discount code?
I didn't, but I wasn't. I was okay not using one, or because I wanted to support Joe 100%. Plus, when I bought it, I actually used. I guess actually that's probably what you were asking. I used one of the $20 discount codes on it, and so I got that from Demonoc as part of my pass around. He sent it over, and so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, dude. If you guys need a code for EDC Roundtable, mine is Mango 10. All one
Mango
word.
10. Nice.
Yeah.
But no, I got this tray right here.
You, Joe.
In the blue, and I really like it. I want one of these ones, one of these smaller ones.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's the avocado, because I think this is the mint green.
Yeah.
I think that's the avocado. I want one of these smaller ones to put like right by the door. So when you come in the morning, it's like right there, and you don't have to. I can throw my keys down. I can put a knife down and something like that, and have it there. And they just look cool. I like them a lot.
I love having them, especially as like a pop of color.
Yeah. Well, and they're really good quality too.
Yes.
Like they're really good quality. And so I was curious, and Joe, if you're still here, I think you are. Did you buy those trays, or did you like have those trays molded? Like, did you find a bunch of trays like that? Because if you did, that's kind of cool. Or did you like somehow mold them to fit that way?
I wondered that too, especially for the smaller one. Right? The smaller one is dope. I've definitely been thinking about grabbing one of those too, just because again they're so convenient and it's I don't know they bring some life, which is like everything in my place or like my dad's place is all like white, earth tone, beige. You know what I mean? Like yeah,
Mostly vintage trays, some are new. Cool.
that's sick.
I like that aspect of it too, because then you're like recycling an old product essentially.
Yeah,
Bringing something to life, giving it new meaning, and bringing something back to it essentially. So kind of cool. I like that.
that's always really cool when you can do that and recycle something that like would otherwise be like overlooked by everybody and make something really cool out of it. Like I don't know, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Dude. So now question for you.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, killing me. If you want black on black, I'm in, bro. I am in. You know I love my black on black on black on black.
That would actually be really cool.
I'm definitely in. In. Okay. No, so I was gonna ask you, have you been working on any new ideas or designs lately?
I have. I've got 3 that I keep like tweaking here and there, and they're just like hand sketches right now.
Yeah.
And so I've got a little book and a mechanical pencil and a fancy eraser, and I'll draw like the main sketch on a piece of paper, and then I usually like I'll cut like pieces of cardboard, like cereal box, essentially, and then I'll like sketch that over the edge.
Yeah.
And then I'll use that as like my outline, and then I'll use that as an outline, and I'll put it on. I'll draw it like 4 times, like use that outline so they're all the same size.
Yeah.
And then I'll erase little pieces and kind of mess them as I want and mess around with them and change things as I want or how I seems fit. And then once I have something dialed, I actually stole this from you, a live that I watched a while ago, was I got the foam board that then I'll put the foam board on the top, and I will cut the foam board over the one that I like. Usually get 2 or 3 pieces of foam board, put them together, and then kind of like feel like the hand. How is it going to feel in my hand? If I really want to go in depth, I've only ever done this once. I'll like shim some of the edges off like a chamfer and see like, okay, if it's not so blocky, how does it fit and stuff like that. But I've got about 3 designs I'm working on right now. I never heard from Kaiser yes or no before February on the design that I sent them.
Okay.
So I'm not hopeful because it's been about a month and a half, but I figure after the Lunar New Year, I'll probably reach out and just say, hey, it's not going to hurt my feelings one way or another, but if you aren't going to move forward with this, I'd love to know so I could send it to like Kubi or send it to somewhere else and see if someone else wants to pick it up. So I'm just waiting to hear from them, and I know pretty much everyone's shut down right now. But I do have another one that I sent to a different company, and they seemed very excited about it, and they seemed really eager to pick it up. But it was almost like too easy and too eager. So I'm skeptical because of that. Like they were asking for, like, I sent them the generic, like, hey, here's the design I'm looking for. Here's 2 files that I can send you. Here's just kind of a rough outline of what I would like it to look like. And then they were like, what are all the measurements? What's this? What's that? How did you do this? How did you do that? Give us this information. And I was like, you're asking for pretty much everything to make the knife without me having a contract. and I don't know how like I've never worked with them before, so I don't know how comfortable I felt like giving all of that information, because I'm basically just giving you the knife, and I have no contract saying that I'm gonna have you take my design and use it.
Put the name in the private chat for me if you don't mind.
Yeah. I gotta scroll back to the top. There we go, right here.
Because I'm definitely curious, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I haven't worked with them before.
It's one that I don't think a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And so that's why I know one other person who has, or I don't actually know them, but I know that there is a design that they just released that wasn't like their in-house design, that they're like, hey, this is from a designer. So I reached out just out of like, hey, I've got a design. Would you like to make it? And they were like almost too eager. And that's why I was like, I'm not too sure how I feel about this. So
I'll tell you what I do, and maybe it's not always the best, but I don't transfer files. I almost like I give them distorted images also. Like when I do, let's say like a rendering of the image of the 3D file, right? I will intentionally blow out the perspective, like the field of view, in order to distort the proportion. Partially because it makes the knife look cooler, but also because I don't want them taking the image and being able to recreate the product from the image.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't give them files before I have a contract in hand, you know? Because at least for me, I've never tried to approach a company and have them like duplicate my work, but I have had companies duplicate my work before, you know? If not here, like definitely with my last business, I had a certain drone design that like somebody on Alibaba like totally duplicated it and tried to sell it as their own, and I was like, well, good luck with that, because that wasn't a great sales success design anyways. Another bit of another little tip that I picked up, and I've shared that with a few different people. If you are negotiating a licensing contract with these people, or anybody for that matter, you want to get your percentage from sales, not profit.
That's good.
That's an important one, right? Because let's say, let's give a perfect example. Let's say you are getting a knife made that's going to cost $100, right? And let's say you are getting 5% of that, right? The difference between 5% is $5 on sales, versus if the knife costs, let's say, $20 to make, now you're getting 20, you're
getting like $4.
Yeah, 5% of 80. So you're getting $4. And when you do that in volume, that gap becomes massive, actually. So I highly, damn, you did that real quick, math wise. But yeah, you get that that difference of that dollar. If you extrapolate that, let's say over 1,000 units, that's the difference of $1,000 right there.
Yeah,
that's real world money for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's insane to think. You're right, but yeah, that's insane to think that that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. And like a lot of companies will try that with you. You know, they'll be like, "Oh, well, we'll give you X percentage." It's usually like 5 to 8%, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they'll say, "Oh, you know, we'll give it to you from profits." Nuh-uh,
Yeah.
nuh-uh, bitch. Give it to me from sales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I just when I did my original Kubi contracts, it was from profits, and I told them like a while ago, I was just like, no, we're not going to continue to do this. You got to give me a percentage of sales.
Yeah.
You know, like because you would think with like for how many, for example, like momentums, ruckuses, and veloces that they've sold, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, I've made more money from selling the Grazioso through Kaiser, like a lot.
Because you did it as a sale, not profit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've made and significantly more money actually.
If they revamp, like if they revamp the ruckus again and they come out with a new variation,
Yeah.
does your contract adapt to the new variation? Like because it's the same design, if they throw a different G10 on it or change the steel or anything like that,
Yeah.
you get a percentage of the new one just because it's the same design, correct?
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Anything that is your original design
Mm-hmm.
that they do doesn't matter the variation. You
Mm-hmm.
get percentages from. You know,
Are
and if they don't, they then you can pursue them, and you can. Well, the big thing is you can't pursue them legally,
mm-hmm.
but you can pursue them publicly and put it
Oh,
out there. And like that's the one thing Chinese companies never want is to lose face publicly
yeah.
because it has a cascading effect on the rest of their business. You know. So, thank you, Craig. Appreciate it, brother.
Can they? Probably not, but I'd be curious if, and I haven't seen this with anybody that I can think. I'm trying to think if I've seen a knife company do this, and you probably can't do this successfully without working with the creator. But like if Kaiser was to make a Grazioso 2, like use the name and add a 2 to it and change little bits about the blade or little bits about the handle or the steel or something like that,
I
then
have an answer to that.
I was gonna say, well, would they be able to adapt it and say, hey, this is the Grazioso 2?
That is a clutch lock Grazioso prototype.
Yeah.
So it's not the 2, but
Mm-hmm.
it basically is.
So but now they send you a prototype with a clutch lock and they say, hey, this is a different version.
Yep.
Would you still get sales from that? Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Hopefully, at some point this year, you may see something like this in some form. Not this version. I think they decided not to do this because this is Damasteel Zerk and Westinghouse Micarta and freaking Timascus and all of that crap. This was going to be a $500 Grazioso.
That blade is so nice, though.
Dude, yeah, I'm a big fan.
Mm-hmm.
Very big fan. This is my only knife in Damasteel. I don't have any Damascus-esque knives, and the fact that this is Damasteel is pretty nuts.
The other thing that's cool is it's a Damasteel Grazioso that you designed.
Yeah,
It makes it even cooler. That's sick.
Yeah, it's dude, I'm definitely this is one of the reasons why I always say good things about Kaiser, you know, because like they took the initiative actually to do a version like this. You know, they were like, yeah, it'd be really cool if we could do a clutch lock. Like, what do you think? I was like, yeah, let's go for it. And they took all the flavor of the original and just kind of adapted it to their clutch lock, you know. And so I was just like, dude, sick. Like that's incredible. I'm game, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope they do more stuff with like premium materials in the future because like their build quality and all of that stuff is on point. Even for this prototype is just sick, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, man. I definitely hope you hear back from them because they will treat you well, you know, in my experience.
And even if I don't, like, I'll probably reach out with another design in like 2 or 3 months and just be like, hey,
Yeah.
that one didn't work. What about this one? Hey,
Yeah.
and really, like, I'm one of those stupidly optimistic people. Like, I will keep running into a wall until it becomes a hole.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if that design doesn't work, like, I'll brainstorm a bunch of others and then send it over, and almost to a point where, like, I think Kaiser will just make a knife because they'll get sick of hearing from me. I was like, he's gonna send another one in 3 months. Let's just make one so he shuts up.
Dude, straight up, that's how I got started in this, by the way. Right? Ganzo did a design competition way back in the day. And I said, you know what? Like you know, I had to shut down my last business. I took like a year to kind of like figure things out. And I was like getting back into knives because I had to put that on hold for a while for my last business. And I saw that they had a design competition, so I started sketching up some knives. Ganzo, of all people, rejected every single thing that I submitted to them. And I was like, God damn it, okay. If I'm not doing something good enough for Ganzo, then I gotta improve my shit, you know? And that was around the time where I came out with the original designs for the Momentum, the Veloce, and the Grazioso. And I ended up submitting them to Kubi, Kaiser, a bunch of people. Kubi picked up like 7, 8 of my designs. And Kaiser was kind of like, oh, well, we kind of wanted some of those. I was like, well, you took too long to reply. But let me do a design just for you guys. And that was the Grazioso. And so it's just, you just keep hammering it. And eventually you find something that they'll be interested in, you know, that fits the style and character, you know, that they're after. And if they don't take it, there's other companies you can reach out to, you know. So
do you do the majority of your design on sketch, or do you do digital?
I do all of my stuff by hand.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I always start with hand drawings.
And then you work with Roman a lot.
I do, and Roman's phenomenal. I wouldn't be here without Roman, 110%.
That's awesome.
But like, I also realize the value of Roman's time. So like, I do as much work as I can by hand and refine. I do the models like we were talking about with the foam, you know, and I just try to get to a point where it's like, okay, this is as good as I'm going to be able to make it, you know, and then I'll send it to him to do the 3D modeling. Because like, I can do 3D modeling. It's just I don't have access to the software that I used to use, which is SolidWorks, and I kind of hate Fusion personally. I use it. I'm learning how to do more stuff in it, but I love SolidWorks. And whatchamacallit, I'm a noodler when it comes to 3D. I will noodle every damn detail to oblivion. So like the stuff that Roman can knock out in like, you know, a week or two, I would obsess over for like a month. So I'm just like, dude, let me hand it to him. I trust him implicitly, you know, and it saves me the agony of noodling every half millimeter detailing. Oh, maybe this was just a little like this, and forget it. I'm OCD when I get into 3D. It's a bad thing. Yeah. I wish I could show you some of my old CAD models of like my drone stuff, and you'd see I'm just like spend way too much time with that shit. Like, dude, I even got to the point with like some of my old models that I was doing like finite stress analysis and aerodynamic, kind of evaluation. And it's like, bro, you don't need to do that shit. Like,
No.
chill out.
if you could go back and change one thing about your time in the knife community, whether it's YouTube or like creation or design, where would you like change and like pivot to focus more?
I may have started Mangana Steel a little earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, I may have started a little earlier, and I would have maybe been a little bit more bold with my decisions. Like just go for it. It's like I was very kind of like conservative / concerned about my name and making sure that like people kind of knew me, so I would have a customer base and X, Y, and Z. And I, for example, like the Grazioso could have been my first Mangana Steel release.
Yeah.
So that may be my only sort of thing I would have changed. Aside from that, this community, the people, the ride has been amazing. Like I can't complain about it in the least.
Yeah.
How about yourself? Actually, I'd love to hear your perspective.
I probably would. I probably would have like focused more. I had so many hobbies and so many like things that like drew my attention that I don't think I like gave the full amount of attention to like design work and really like investing in building a brand and like creating awareness around like what I want to do. So like once I fully knew what I wanted to do and like created the brand, I'm 5 years into like my second career. Like I spent 11 years in one career, 6 years trying to figure something out, and then 5 years into a second career. And what I'd love to do is more like design work and stuff like this. Yeah. And so like I would have probably spent more time early on, like really honing one thing rather than trying to be like, you always hear jack of all trades, master of none. Like I've worked hundreds of jobs, do lots of things, have a lot of skill in a lot of areas. And that's not to brag. It's to say like, I've done a lot of stuff and I'm very, very blessed and gifted to be able to say that I've done that. But if I could go back and like, rather than like be a rounded individual of like, oh, I could do this and this and this and this and this and this and this because it's cool, I would love to be able to be here and be like, I am an expert at this, and like just focus more in that one thing. Because not that, I mean, I'm still fairly young. I'm 33, but I feel like I'm playing catch up a lot of times on like, I feel like when I was in school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I have like enough credits for like 3 college degrees because I switched so many times and not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like if I could have focused more on one thing, that probably would have been something that I would have changed a little bit. But similarly, like you said, like starting earlier, being a little bolder with my decisions, kind of having more for lack of a better term, like having more, for me at least, courage to just be like, I'm going to make this succeed.
Yeah.
So that'd probably be something that I would say. But like, with all that in mind, like I wouldn't be here without the choices I made.
Right.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be with the mindset, with the perception, with the attitude, with the heart that I have now if I didn't have those choices. And so, like, if I would have focused so much then on that, like, I may not have been as positive of a person to be like, hey, you know what? I will run through this wall until it becomes a hole.
Yeah.
And like push myself to make this succeed. I may have become bitter or cold or like angry with either the choices or community early on. So it's a hard, I mean, it's not a hard question, but it's a tricky question.
It is, and I'll tell you something. I'll tell you from my own experience, and I'm not always the best example for anything by any means. But in my experience, like for those of us, like I love the saying that all those who wander are not are like may not always be lost, right? Like because like you were saying, you know, you feel like you're playing catch up, but you wouldn't have arrived here without those experiences, you know? And for me, you know, I'm what almost 10 years older than you know, and I feel like I'm playing catch up all the time, you know. I see a lot of people who've gone down different pathways, you know, than me and gotten to places where they're quote unquote like happy, you know, or like settled in life and whatever, but they also don't have the skills, the happiness, or the payoffs that I have either, you know, or the freedoms. So I don't know, you know, like I feel that those of us who are searching for something different, there's a greater payoff in the end because we did it on our own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can tell you, for example, like I went through a lot of concern because like I'm not married. I don't have like a long-term significant other. But had I married the girl that I was planning to marry, I may most likely have been divorced by now. And I wouldn't be here because, you know, we were hunt heavy. We probably would have had kids. I would have taken a job in a field that I was unhappy in order to support those kids and that family. You know what I mean? So, like, my trajectory would have been a lot more unsatisfying, I guess, you know? And then again, if I were to get divorced, because knowing who this person was, this girl was, and how things probably would have evolved between us, you
Mm-hmm.
know, yeah, like I would have been separated from, I would have had a failed marriage, would have probably, you know, lost custody of the kids. You know what I mean? Which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy, you know, like I'm so thankful I didn't go down that pathway. So like, yeah, I had to search a lot more in life to get to where I'm at now, but I also potentially avoided some like major heartache and pain and struggle. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
think Joe said it real good here too. I'm gonna sound like the old man, but my journey is shaped by current me. I've had a lot of jobs, learned a lot of skills. If I had not walked this path, I might not be where I am today. I think it goes right back to like what we were talking about. It goes back to the very truth of like, hey, this is where I was, and kind of what we were talking about earlier with perception of like, is a circle a square? Like, you can't. Now I'm, gosh, Jacob, you're in my head. I'm trying not to say it. Jacob's got in my head now. So good.
Hold on. Let me get back at Jacob. Like. Okay, you should.
Jacob is passed out on the ground. But you get back to that point where you would not be where you were today without that, because you don't know what the future holds, but you know it would have been a different path because it would have been different choices with different people and everything. So it's definitely always an interesting topic. So
yeah, no, 100%. Like, yes, it would be nice for me to be settled, have a significant other, you know.
called heartburn.
You know, but I would love to have all of those things, but it's just not in the cards right now. So there's no point in sort of like fighting it or kind of rebelling against it. You gotta follow the pathways, and you'll get to where you're meant to be realistically. You know, especially like if without going too deep in it, but if you're a person of faith, you have to have faith in like the pathway. You know, so
what's your go-to knife right now? Like your go-to carry?
Actually, it's funny because there's 3 of them, and they're all right in front of me right now, kind of like a Sophie's choice. Of course, one of the production micarta kaimanos, that should go without saying. I
have a confession, Sherif. I have a confession before we move on.
Yeah.
I'm a really bad friend, and I haven't bought a Kaimano yet, but I am this Friday. I've wanted it so bad. It's been on my list, and I've literally been like waiting until it comes to the point where it's like I can buy it now. And you have no idea how many times I like went to check the website. Like, is it still available? Is it still available? Is it still available?
Dude, I got you. Don't stress about it.
It's probably my favorite design you've made so far. Like I don't have a premium Grazioso, but I have Grazioso with the black G10 and then like the brass on the top. And it's nice. I got 2 of them because I got one and they gave one to a friend, and then I had to get another one, and it's one of my favorites. And then when you came out with the Kaimano, the fact that one, it was an actual manganese steel knife too, was like, okay, this is cool. But it's probably my favorite design of yours. And so, but it's been like eating me up on the inside. I was like, now he's got them all delivered, and I still haven't. And I'm like, ah. And so, but
no, none of that with me, man. Like I have zero expectation for anybody in the community. Like, the way I see it is, if you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. If it interests you, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, I take none of it personally, like by any means, you know. But if you want one, you know, just let me know. I'll hold one for you, bro. Like, seriously, until you can or whatever. Like, I'll do that for a homie, you know, honestly. Like, don't stress about it. They're certainly not going anywhere. So
it's on my list. Like I made the list of 6 knives for my wife. Like, these are the 6 knives I'm buying. And I had a list of 4, and then there were 2 spots that I had open with others. But it made my list of like, these are the 4 that I'm 100% buying this year. And she was like, okay, I'm okay with all of these. And then the spot for the 2 left, she was like, what's going to go in these spots? And I was like, well, I've got this list of 10. And like the cheapest knife on the list of 10 was like $700. And she was like, none of those are going to go in that spot there. They're all too expensive. And I was like, dang it.
Yeah, I love you, Crispy, brother. You're the best, man. But yes, to finish answering your question, the other one, of course, is the Winter Blade Cofactor, which, you know, like we were saying earlier, like waiting for like 8+ months to get this and then finally getting it, and it's everything I remember and better. And you know me, I am not a sheep's footy warm-lippy guy.
Because there's no penetration with it. How do you penetrate?
I know. I make an exception for this guy. I really enjoy it a lot. And the other one that has been taking up a lot of pocket time has been this Strider SNG, which is a damn quirky knife, you know, but damn it if I don't need one.
Is that Steve Clare's?
No, this is another friend's, and
that Strider is nice.
I've gotten mildly attached to it, so I've been debating, like, do I ask him if he'd be willing to sell it?
I like black on black on that one too, though.
Yeah,
I like the black on black on that one a lot, and the way it was put there. I know Salt Lake last year they had that like special edition Strider.
Yeah,
that was like the rose gold and the black. That was really cool. But I like that black on black a lot.
Yeah, dude. And like I've worked on it, like I cleaned it up, I lubricated it. It's in MagnaCut, so I'm just kind of like, oh man, like I've kind of gotten attached to this guy. Like I put my sweat into this one, and it's one of my, and what's also very surprising is how lightweight it is because of the full G10 show side. It's like EDC knife light.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, like you get an American made hard use knife, but it's lightweight.
Yeah.
Like, go figure, you know? So yeah, those are the three that I've been cycling right now in my rotation. I have a tough time choosing between each one and like at any given day and time. And what about you?
The only knife I've duplicate carried in the last like 2 weeks, I'd say, has been these two. The compact Tau from Kunwu. It's just one of my favorites. M390. Or no, sorry. This is LMAX, not M390.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so it's LMAX steel. It has the front flip, and then you've also got the little like hidden flipper on the backside there, and it's just got sweet, buttery, smooth action. And then the Christmas present that we started your live with from my wife. Yeah. And so that's part of the reason I like knives like this. Like it's just a rack too, but like I can use this knife and carry it and love it, and it's going to be great because my wife gave it to me. I'm going to be able to bring it back to life as long as I'm not stupid and use it for like prying. Like I can sharpen this thing. I'm not worried about it. It's the Oz 8 version. So it's got a decent steel to it, but like I'm going to be able to use this for literally anything that I'll use a knife for throughout the day and not worry about it. And that's why I think I carry that one a lot more. But so those have been the only two that I've like duplicate carried in the last like 2 to 3 weeks. But other than that, probably my Ragnarok. I just don't carry it as much because I don't want to use it as much. Yeah. Like I'll use it to open boxes and stuff, but we've been doing some other stuff at work. So I've been like, okay, I'm using this to cut more than boxes, or I'm handing a knife off to someone and I don't know what they're going to use it for. So I'm carrying cheaper knives.
I would never hand a Ragnarok off to somebody.
And like I never have, but that's why like people see a knife in your pocket and I'm like, yeah, there's a box cutter over there. Go get that.
Yeah, 100%.
That's for you. This is for me. Sorry. And so
I totally have that experience. Like when I go visit my dad, you know, he'll be like, "Do you have a knife on you?" First questions out of my mouth are, "What do you need to use it for?"
Yeah, exactly.
Every time. Every damn time. Like, I don't trust you.
I got to the point where like even just around the house, my wife was asking me for a knife all the time, that eventually I was like, I'm just gonna buy you a knife. And so I bought her like an Elementum.
There you go.
Button lock Elementum, because those are easy for her to use. And then she's got a Remet Peacock as well, just because those are surprisingly, I think I have mine in here, but that's probably one of my favorite. Nah, it's somewhere else. It's probably one of my favorite little budget knives though, because it's only like $20 and they have surprisingly good action for a really cheap knife.
Nice.
But yeah, this is another one that last month I was carrying quite a bit, and this is the Sencut Kyril, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
But this is the one that I was talking about that I probably never would have gotten another Sencut, and then Just the Tip EDC customized this one. He dyed the scales and then sent this one over, and I've carried it quite a bit. Same thing. It's just a budget beater.
Yeah.
And this one, I actually sent him a prototype of the Rengo, and he sent this back with the Rengo and just like surprised me. And he was like, man, you can keep that. And I was like, thank you. This is an awesome knife, man. Like I really like this. It's a budget knife, but it just goes back to what we were talking about on your channel earlier. Like, I'm going to keep this knife, cherish this knife. Like I love this. Like, there are knives that I have, as much as of a Kunwu fanboy I am, I can look at these knives, M390, LMAX, Vanix, some really cool knives. This one means way more to me.
Yeah.
I bought those with my own money. I got them for a collection. Like, those will disappear before this does ever, because of like how I got it, who it came from, all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I was, dang, I lost my train of thought, but I was going to ask you, we talked about like oh yeah, I was going to say, like, dude, you and a few other people have really got me thinking, like, I need to check out a Kunwo, and that Padre. So one of the things that I've learned from handling the Strider is like this whole double choil thing really appeals to me, especially when it's not like a Spyderco where you have like a big upsweep on the blade, like immediately right there, like here, I'll grab this PM2, right? Like, you have the double choil thing with the PM2, but what kind of drives me nuts is my thumb wants to go right there,
Yeah.
And I kind of want that to be flat. So, like, something like the Padre really catches my attention,
Yeah.
But, like, oh man, like, do I want to drop that cash on something that I don't know? Or, you know what I mean? Because, yeah, like, dude, that's a $340 knife.
This is the exclusive PVD coated with the it's got the Vanix, and then it's got the Timascus around here. So this was the REC exclusive for it, and they only made 100. I believe they only made 100 or 150. I can't remember exactly. Of these, and I picked one of these ones up, and so that one will be coming in March. And so I'm stoked. But the Padre is like the one Kunwu, with the exception of the unreleased ones, that I don't have. So like I don't have the new. They have a new sheep's foot. They have an S Tau 2. So their sheep's foot Tau, which is a frame lock version of the sheep's foot frame lock version, is the S Tau, and they have an S Tau 2 that's unreleased that I don't have, and then they've got a slip joint called the Geezer that they just made that's unreleased as well, and I don't have that one. But this is, out of the released knives, this is the only one that I don't have a variation of. Like, I don't have every Kunwu, obviously. But like, I've got a version of the Chad, I've got a version of the Orion, a version of X Tau, Tau, Mini Tau, Compact Tau, and so I'm really excited. I didn't, honestly, the design initially did not do anything for me, and I kind of stayed away from it. But the more I like saw it and looked at it, I wanted it, and then really, like, some of the original versions, like, this didn't do anything for me as much.
I was gonna say that black one is hot, dude.
And that's where, like, that black diamond titanium with the DLC
Yeah, in
That one,
Phoenix.
in Vanix. And so that one I was just like, oh dang, that's the one I want. And
Right.
so yeah, it sold out in 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
I mean, I didn't think it was gonna sell out that fast. I set an alarm to make sure I could do it right away. They really didn't broadcast it a ton of places. REC broadcasted on Instagram, and then Kunwu talked about it on their like Facebook page. And that was it. And they didn't they kept telling people like, hey, it's gonna happen in January sometime. And then it didn't happen until I think February 7th. And so and they told people on the Kunwu channel before anywhere else, they're like, hey, tomorrow, 9 a.m., February 7th, that's when it's going to drop. There will be 100 of them. They're going to go fast. If you want one, do it. And so I set an alarm on my phone. I sat there, I watched it. I got it all ready. I remember I was buying a coffee for myself and my wife. And then boom. I was like, yes. I was so excited when I got the email. But that's one of my 6 knives for the year. So.
Yeah. Dude, that's a good pickup, I gotta say. I'm with you. The sort of plain Jane ones don't really catch my attention, which is why I haven't pulled the trigger. I never knew about that all black DLC with Vanex. I'm like, if I had known that, I probably would have pulled the trigger on that thing.
And that's why they had they kept it pretty low key and didn't tell a ton of people. And they were like, hey, if you guys want to, you can tell people we're doing this on REC, but that's just going to ruin your chances of getting it. So I don't think a lot of people really talked about it.
Yeah, man. I've really come to appreciate that dual finger choil ergo quite a bit. I've got that Strider. I've got my own ProTech Striders, and it's a design approach that really scales really well. And generally speaking, I've become against doing finger choils in the blade personally, because I feel this Grazioso guy right here, if you design it, you can put a flat in the handle that allows you to do that and have that sort of choke up ability.
Yeah.
But that dual choil approach, really allows you to achieve that without having to make a lot of sacrifices on the blade, the cutting length of the blade. You know? Which is what always been one of my problems with Spyderco's from a design perspective, right? Just for my own little rant here, when you look at a paramilitary 2, for example, with that finger choil and the way they've done it, plus the fact that the blade doesn't go anywhere near the end of the handle, you actually get comparable edge cutting length to a Rat 2, which is a much smaller knife. Actually, I should put this on top here so that it, you get really close. So that's a big knife to have such little cutting length, and that's always been kind of something that frustrates me. Whereas the Kaimano, in comparison, is a similar length knife to a paramilitary 2. And look how much more blade and cutting area you get.
Oh, yeah. Especially with the dual angles on it like that, too. You add so much more at that second point.
Even if I did this as a drop, a curved,
you get a much bigger belly than it.
Yeah, if I put some belly, you're still getting a 1/4 inch more blade length.
I will say, like the 50/50 choil, and the only one I have in front of me right now is the Devo Growler 2.
That I love that thing.
But like this, it feels so good. You lose some of the cutting edge, yes, but it feels so good. And you can do so much with this. It's nice.
Dude, that is, I don't own any Devos. That is the one that I wanted. And they did the purple, colors and all of that stuff. That was the one that sold out first. And by the time that I was like, okay, fine, I'm not going to get that one. I'll go for the blue. That one sold out.
So similarly to like the whole Kunwu thing, this one sold out, I think, in like 4 minutes or something.
Yeah, dude.
And then like the blue sold out in 11 minutes when they dropped. It was insane.
I was so pissed because I got to handle that thing at Blade Show. And and that was like months before they offered it, right? And I put it in my head. I was like, this is the one Devo that I like and I need to have in my collection. And still to this day, I have not been able. Nobody even puts them up on the secondary.
No, they don't. I mean, I believe they just did a second run of these.
Really?
Yeah. So I believe Kevin just said they did a second run of the Growlers.
Okay.
I think because they were so popular. And I could be wrong, but I believe they did a second run of the Growlers. They're not out yet, but I believe they just like commissioned a second run of the Growlers.
Okay.
And they're changing a couple things about it.
Oh, they are. They're coming out on the 4th of March.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, and there's an all black version.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I think there is an all black one as well too. But yeah, so I believe they did a second run of these. And they're coming out with them there, but I just got the Mash 2, 2.5.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the Growler V2 with the all black. So it's got the same carbon fiber, but it's got the all black in the 154 cm as well.
Dude, what was the steel on the OG?
I think it's 154 as well.
Okay.
Yeah, 154 cm on this. On the V2, I think the original, I'd have to go grab it, but I think it might also be 14C.
Okay.
I think he went from, because a lot of Devos, if I remember, a lot of the earlier Devos had 14C, and then he switched over to 154 cm. I think there was something with Tempest knives, and KC was like 154, 154, 154, and Kevin was like 14C, like it doesn't matter. And then I think with the V2, Kevin was like 14C's gone, let's use 154, and now they use 154. If I remember right, but yeah, it's 154 on the original V2 here.
Okay.
No, I've got the Mash V2.5 that's supposed to be here this week, and I'm excited about that. And then they just sent out their oh man, I'm really bad with knife names when there's so many knives going out there.
Right.
But whatever this is, the Stout V2 just all got finished and sent out. So the Stout V2 should be coming later this week as well.
Dude, that Growler.
Yes, Josh, there is a premium one too. Josh would actually probably know more than me. Josh is Kevin proxies for Josh, so they talk way more than I do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did get to handle a USA made prototype of the Growler. And yeah, that's what sold me. But then I was like, you know what? I don't care. I like the design so much. I wouldn't mind having a budget and a premium version, Yeah. I think it's, in my opinion, and people are free to disagree with me, but I think it's their best design to date. It's the most appealing to me from like a lines perspective. And dude, to me, the sales just prove it. It's like that thing shocked me with how quickly it sold out everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's probably not that weave carbon fiber is a new thing, but there were so many like camel carbon, fat carbon, all these different carbon fibers out there, shred carbon fiber, and like all these different things that you haven't seen weave in a long time.
True.
This was done so well that it just like it shocked and hit the market at a perfect time. And it was done well. It looks really good.
And a great price.
Yeah, great price on top of the design, the feel, the ergos, and everything.
Yeah. 100% great package.
Especially if you use one of the codes, because then you get 10% off and it drops that 109 down to $99.
Yeah.
So less than $100. It was my production knife, I think it was my production knife. No, budget knife of the year. Sorry.
Yeah.
My budget knife of the year. If you use the code, because in order to be budget knife of the year, it had to be under $100 for me.
Yeah.
If you use the code, it was my budget knife of the year. And then this was my actual budget knife of the year, the Migron Mayoral.
Oh, everybody loves that thing.
Yeah. Which, I mean, they are different. So I'm not saying they're a copy, but they have the same big belly. They're really nice design. And I think that just both of them were really, really well designed.
Yeah, 100%. Man, I need that growler. I got to set an alarm now for that all black one. Because dude, if I miss it a second time, that's something I'm going to be really sad about. Like, genuinely sad. It's so funny too, because like, I mean, I'm getting a reputation for having like bougie taste and a bougie like collection of things. But if there is an affordable knife done exceedingly well like that'll get my engines going, you know?
That, I mean, and it's more attainable. Like, it's nice to have a knife that you can buy that isn't $300. A good knife, like a very well done knife. And I'm going to go back to what I was saying early on in your show. Like, I hate to pat Colin and Kevin on the back so much more for what they've done, but they really have a fantastic model. They've really got a really good knife, and they put out an amazing product for two really cool guys too. So they put out a really good product for what they do, and making it, thinking about the community and making something like that attainable is one thing that I really appreciate that they do as well. So
100%. And like I've said it before, I'll say it again, man. Like freaking Lefty, you know, is such a stand-up dude. You know? Like he has been there for me. He's helped me through a lot of like the speed bumps along the way. I can't say enough good things about the dude, really. Like, I will joke to his face. I'll be like, you monotone pie-faced bastard. But I will also be the first one to, like, buy him, you know, well, he doesn't drink anymore, but, like, metaphorically buy him a drink, you know. Because, yeah, he's just been behind the scenes. He's one of those guys that always is, like, willing to be transparent, lend a helping hand, you know, support the community, engage in healthy debate, you know, quality human being right there. Just don't tell him I said that.
All of that, like I would 100% support all of that as well. Like it just, I think he does so many things that he can. I think he does so many things for the community that people don't realize.
Yeah.
Like, and even like the pass around group that he does and what he's started and how he puts so much of his stuff on the line during that as well. And like, oh, here's this and here's that. And it's really cool to see how he supports so many other people in doing that.
Yeah.
And so many other channels as well. Like really honestly, they are his competitors, and like when it comes to like social media and stuff. But he's like, hey, I think it's better for the community if we get this stuff out there. So he really supports it and does that, and keeps them out there.
And that's it's so true. Like he is so how shall I say? He knows who and what he is, so he doesn't feel threatened by somebody else like coming up and doing their own thing.
Yeah.
You know? Which is rare. It takes a very sort of self-aware and kind of like self-realized person to not be competitive with every Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes up. You know what I mean? It's like Lefty does what Lefty does. And nobody else is going to do exactly what Lefty does. So, like, I try to be that way. I have my moments where I see some stuff and I feel that those little pangs of jealousy, you know, and I'm like, okay, try to be different, be better, you know, like reason to feel that way, you know? But Kevin's like a living example of that in practice, which is all. Enough stroking that dude's ego, because if he watches this back, he's gonna just be like,
hey, just a heads up to everybody who's still here. This is the first time that I've actually done this, and I know it's stupid that I'm just now doing this, but I went in and made a couple of y'all who are in the chat, if you're still here, went ahead and made some of y'all moderators finally. Foolish me just has taken forever in doing that. But so if you have a recent comment in YouTube, I can't get to yours right now, Transparent Knives, because the emoji is right next to it. Oh, there it is. Boom. Now I can do it. I made some of y'all moderators to help.
Nice.
You want to share a link for people to see that or whatnot and help keep bots out of the way. Y'all should see that most of you who are still in here have now become moderators for the channel. So
hell yeah.
Thank you for doing all that and getting that in there, y'all.
And that's 100% true, Brian. Nobody can provide 30 minutes of entertainment as he tries to disassemble a knife like Lefty, dude.
I was trying so hard to make you a moderator. I didn't actually read your comment, and now I'm reading the comment because I was trying to click the 3 little dots in it. Yeah, that is a very true statement. Nobody can do that.
It's so true. I watch him struggle sometimes with that stuff, and I'm just like, "Come on, Kev! Like, really?"
Yeah,
it's great. It's so good. It's so good. Oh man! Now here's a question for you, because Crispy kind of touched on it earlier, and Brian, if you're free to kind of chime in, I'd love to hear it from you and everybody else in the chat. But what steals would you like to see more of in 2024? Steals that maybe aren't as commonly used today, but you wish were. Oh, thank you, Josh Worth. Appreciate that, dude.
I think some of mine are steals that are commonly used, but I don't think get the not credit really that they deserve. That's not the right word, but like I have really started liking Nitro V a lot.
Okay.
And it's more of a budget steal that I really like. It's like a mid-grade. I personally would put Nitro V in the category of like 154 and 14C. I think it's a little better, but it's kind of in that budget category, like premium budget or like high-end budget.
Yeah.
S45 VN on Chinese-made knives. Vanix caps at 61. That's what most companies are mentally capped.
Yeah.
Heaven.
I'm with you there. Vanix would be awesome to see more of, for sure.
I think there's a lot of knives that I think people stay away from Vanex because of how expensive it is, though.
It's true, but I don't
mean,
know.
I've got maybe five knives that are Vanex, 4 or 5 knives that are
I only
Vanex.
have one.
Yeah, most of mine are. Well, I've got a Vanex Shiro. I've got 2 Vanex Kunwu that I can think of. I've got a couple other that I maybe only those 3 actually. So I've got 3 Vanex knives I can think of. I've got a lot of LMAX, which I really like as well too. But the Stout V2 is Vanex, so that'll be my 4th one in Vanex. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, check out this chart that I shared real quick. And then I'm going to see if I can track down another one. I feel you guys with Vanex and S90V. I'm a big fan of S90V for EDC purposes. Because it is whatchamacallit. It's pretty awesome on the edge retention, but it has similar toughness to M390. So if you look here, like M390 is not a tough steel, and in my opinion, it's like a mid-grade, for edge retention. But it's real. What a lot of people don't realize is its corrosion resistance is its kind of claim to fame, realistically. But if you look at S90V, you trade off a little bit of corrosion resistance. You're still well within stainless territory, but you get a fairly big bump in edge retention, which is what most people want when they're like cutting down boxes, opening up packages, like stuff like that. Vanex is exciting down here too.
I'm looking at that Nitro V right there where I'm looking at. You've got the 3.5 on the toughness, 3 on the edge retention, but 7 on the corrosion resistance. So like, really, like, unless you're going like I sharpen my knives, I've honed my skill of trying to sharpen my knives and trying to be better at it and everything. So I don't mind a little bit less on the edge retention, but like that in comparison to 154 cm up there, where 3.5 on the toughness, 4.5 on the edge retention, and 7 on the corrosion. I guess it's similar. I'd put it in there.
Yeah.
The one that's surprising me though is that VG10. I thought it would be a little bit more balanced than that, personally.
VG10. There we go. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. VG10 is not especially exceptional at anything in particular.
No, I mean, it's not bad, but I thought it would be a little like Vanex is better and everything, which is understandable, but like looking at the VG10 versus like LMAX, VG10 4, LMAX 4, VG10 5.5, LMAX 5.5, VG10 7.5, LMAX 8. Like they are almost identical steels.
Yeah. In terms of performance, 100%,
Yeah. In terms of performance.
Yeah, see, Josh Worth, I feel you there, But this is also, I don't have it up here. I can actually switch to show you another chart real quick. Let me share this guy. I believe it's this one. When you start getting into the high alloy steels, then shit gets.
I was gonna say, where's 3V? Yeah, that 3V is an insane. Crewwear, yeah.
I mean, this is really nice to see, like an 8 out of 10 on toughness. and then this is its only downside realistically, because 5 is the threshold for stainlessness. But if you get a coated crew wear blade, then you don't really need to worry about it. 3V is just nuts.
You lose half on edge retention, but you gain a whole number on toughness.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's really nice.
Then you start getting also into like the crazy stuff here where they actually needed to change the scale of edge retention to account for Maximet and Rex 121, But I've heard stories of people dropping Maximet blades on carpet and having the tips like shear off.
Yeah.
So, once you start getting down into the 2s and below, like, believe it or not, 3.5 is
pretty
good, But when you start getting below 3, then dang, that's getting sketchy. But it's also one of the reasons, like with the ZDP, Monterey Bay Knives does it as a Sanmai,
Yeah.
Yeah, see, look at what Brian just posted. Yeah, VG10 is much worse than LMAX at higher hardnesses. It can't handle it at all. The toughness drop-off is rapid for VG10, but not for LMAX. And that's where these charts don't tell the whole story.
Yeah. And that's good to know. It's good to have people in the community like Brian to like share some of that information, because like looking at, like I was saying, looking at the difference between VG10 and LMAX, I'm like, LMAX is a little better, but they're fairly comparable. And then you get this and it's like, okay, so LMAX is actually quite a bit better.
Yeah. And then what helps kind of understand that a little bit better is charts like this one. This one's going to be a little bit crazy to see. But I'll zoom in. There we go. Yeah, check out this this chart. So like this is where you start seeing like how something behaves as you heat treat it. Now this is only looking at like edge retention versus like your heat treat, but it's still like you can have a similar chart to this for toughness, but you can see with like different heat treats, things will change dramatically. Like if you look at AEBL down here, or this steel I've never heard of, Apex Ultra, like the edge retention shifts dramatically for both of them when you start going at higher hardnesses, Yeah. So what is the most interesting and part of why I brought this chart up is because of this guy right here. This is the little Easter egg in this chart. Check this out. Can you read that?
Magnaware?
Yeah. There's going to be a new steel from Laren Thomas. And if you look at it, right, I believe this, where is the line? Where is Vanex? So this line right here, like represents, I think, like 60 or 61 HRC, if I remember correctly. So if you get up to like 64, 65 HRC, Magnaware has got crazy edge retention performance potential. Like on par with S90V and better than something like K390, and is promising to be stainless.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Now 15V and like stuff like ZMax and Maximet are still at their peaks, but like, dude, for an EDC knife, that's going to be ridiculous. So, like, even better edge retention than ZDP. Yes, sir. I'm in here for it, my dude. So I predict that's gonna be once that gets released.
I was gonna say, do they know when the Magnaware is gonna be released yet?
No, this is a screenshot that I took from like one of the Blade forums discussions, and it's supposedly was like a mistaken release or something like that. So if you guys look here on this green line is Magna Cut and its performance, and 204p right here is M390. So look at the jump versus like those two, and then Magnaware. So it promises to be a heavy hitter for sure. I'm excited for it. I definitely am. But yeah, like, okay, so you said for you are digging Nitro V.
I am.
What else? Is there anything else that you'd like to see more of? Crispy.
Well, I mean, really, Nitro V has been Nitro V LMAX. I've got a lot of LMAX knives just because of Kunu does a lot of LMAX as well, and then 14C and 154. Is PM60 on your chart?
I don't believe so, unless it goes by a different name.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out. That's what I was looking for over here, because that's what the chat is in. It's in PM60.
Yeah,
looking for a while. And
Brian, there's a PM60 is equivalent to something. I know that. I've read it before. I just forget what it's equivalent to.
It is an insanely tough knife.
Dude, yeah.
I agree with this, Josh, because the Magna hype is dying. Bring in the Magnaware.
You know why I think it's the hype is dying is because there's not a lot of people who are heat treating it to the optimal heat treat. And like Brian did a really, really good live on this on Instagram where he talked about that in depth, and really like Magna Cut is kind of misunderstood, and partly it's because, for better or worse, Laren hasn't taken a really hard line on like calling people out about it. But you're seeing a lot of Magna Cut done at like 61 HRC, which is kind of like its bare minimum. If people were getting Magna Cut at like 64 HRC across the board, then they would probably be a little bit more hype about it, honestly, because like you get like the benefit of the toughness, you get the benefit of the edge retention, and the ability to use thinner blade geometry. So, which is its principal like advantage is its edge stability, you know. But we're not seeing that. So you're getting like a lot of people making thick, chunky fucking Magna Cut to compensate. And it's like, no, that's not its point. It's not its point. Real quick, I shared the chart again. So, because Skynet wanted to see N690, and N690 is right there. N690 is a good steal. It's on the it's like a budget M390, is the way I think about it. It's definitely got its bias towards corrosion resistance, and in the realm of like edge performance, I put it in a similar category as like VG10 or 154, so it's kind of that like mid tier where it doesn't have as much toughness, but it's really good on like the corrosion resistance and pretty good on edge retention. You know?
Can you open the other one up again?
Yeah.
Hitachi has a steel that is equivalent to the PM60, and it's the HAP 72, but the PM60 is capable of reaching HRCs of 68 to 70, which is why it's so.
Oh.
Yeah, it's insanely hard, and like it's not recommended to put edges below 15 degree per side, and like it is a super high alloy, high speed tool with that high HRC of 68 to 70. I think that's why a lot of people are interested in it.
I don't have HAP 60. I have Rex 45, which is HAP 40.
So it's equivalent. I mean, so it's higher than that. So I would. Yeah. So I'm assuming it's probably a fairly new steel.
Yeah.
Or at least just a less common, probably because it is so hard to sharpen and use and stuff. But it has a really high edge retention.
Yeah. Yeah, look at what Brian just said. He's like, I don't know how they decide which steels they're willing to go hard on, hard on. K390, I've seen at 63, 64 from Riot, ASP 60 from Max Ace at 65. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't understand why they're willing to make the effort on those steels and not across the board, So yeah, and I'm with you, Brian. From the Chinese companies, I'd love to see more Vanex and S90V,
I think especially if with Vanex capping at 61, and that's where most Chinese companies stop their HRC, they go between 59 and 61. That's like what they do. I think Vanex and S90V would be like perfect. I just think Vanex is in there's a low there's low production of Vanex, so like there's not as much steel out there for Vanex, which is why I think you'll see more S90V than Vanex, and why Vanex knives are going to be more expensive because there's less of them.
Yeah, like they're whatchamacallit. I mean, look at what's been coming out. I mean, the whatchamacallit, it's the Jack Wolves coming out in S90, the Pyrotech.
Yeah.
The one from
the Kraken.
Yeah, the Kraken is an S90. You're definitely seeing a lot more S90V coming out right now.
But I mean, with that too, that Kunmu Padre we looked at is Vanex. As Josh let us know that the Stout V2 is going to be Vanex as well. So you are seeing a little bit of both, I think, too. More and more. Just there is still going to be, I think, a significant amount for every one Vanex. You'll probably see 3 S90V.
Yeah, realistically speaking. And that's where I'm kind of struggling because, like, I have 2 new designs and I'm trying to decide, like, okay, yeah, the prototype's one thing, right? But when I decide to pull the trigger to go into production, what steel should I go with? and that's a bit of a challenge, Like,
have a good night, Twang Thang. Thanks for hanging out.
Night, Twang Thang. Yeah, because like one, I don't know. I definitely would love to get your opinion. Like, if I show you the designs, like,
Mm-hmm.
what would you think for each one just by looking at it?
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, I think that that plays into it. Like, you see something and you're like, oh, well, that looks more utilitarian. Maybe I want something like this
Yeah.
versus, something like that. So, yeah. And it's interesting because everybody has a slightly different opinion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And definitely a lot of people are still beating the drum of Magna Cut for sure.
Yeah. I think to your point of like when you see a knife, you picture how you're going to use it and what steel you're going to need for it. But that opinion is going to be shaped on exactly that. How am I going to use this knife?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Like, and it's interesting because there is actually like a psychological science behind it. Believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
there was a whole article written about it called the periodic table of form. And dude, I can send it to you if you're interested because I saved it before they took it off the servers. But it's there is a perception for sure. Like there's a shape psychology, you know, and people will definitely expect certain things just by the way something looks. You know?
Brian, I agree 100%. Less crossbar locks. Kunu makes a fantastic crossbar lock.
That's what I've heard.
This Chad is Kunu's crossbar, and I love this thing. It's fantastic. But their frame locks are bar none some of my favorite knives, and they are just amazing in what they do. I think their frame lock is where they shine. And I think, and this is a personal opinion, but I think frame locks are more universally accepted. I think
Yes.
more people will stay away from a bar lock just because it's a bar lock than people will stay away from a frame lock.
Mm-hmm. I know for me, I'm not a huge fan of crossbar locks, but when they're good, they're really good. When they're meh, they're really, really meh.
Yeah.
You know? So it's kind of like you either got to knock it out of the park or not do it at all. You know?
Yeah.
I definitely I'm biased in that way for sure, and I know it. Like my favorite crossbar lock knives are actually the Giant Mouse Nazca, and it's a Best Tech made crossbar lock. But that's only because I haven't experienced a Kunwu. And everybody has told me the Kunwu ones like blow everybody out of the water.
Kuhn was really good. Kaiser this last year did really good with a couple of theirs. Like the drop bear was really nice.
Yeah.
In the bar lock, and that surprised a lot of people. Kershaw just came out with a bar lock, and I'm trying to remember what it was called.
It's not the Malibu, but it's a play on that. Like it's like I don't know, the Beverly Hills or something like that.
Yeah, and that one was pretty cool, especially because it was made in USA, and it's a Magna Cut blade too.
Yeah.
So it's like I think it's less than $200. Yeah, the Bel Air. Thank you, Transparent Knives. It's the Bel Air.
Yeah.
And it's Magna Cut blade, less than $200, and a bar lock. It's if you like bar locks, it's pretty nice. But the majority of my bar locks that I had came from early on in my collection when I thought that Benchmade was absolute best knives you could ever get.
Yeah.
So I've got a pretty decent Benchmade collection because of that, but they're all bar locks. And the more and more I got into knives and into collecting, I was like, yeah, I don't really like bar locks that much anymore, especially when the patent lapsed on Benchmade and everyone started making bar locks.
Yeah.
Then it became like, okay, this is too much.
Mm-hmm. Now, having said that, okay, credit where credit's due. If you've watched the Dutch Bushcraft Knives video where they take the aluminum scale premium bug out and they fucking baton the thing and the knife survived, like, that's pretty incredible, you know? Like, that's pretty awesome, you know?
I've got that exact bug out in my collection and it's sitting right over there.
Yeah.
And like, I would love to try it. I wouldn't trust it personally. And I also don't have their money to go out and just like, but no, I mean, still some of my favorite knives are like my Osborne 940. I just love the design of it. And I think it's pretty sweet. I think someone else said like the Mini Adamas from Crispy right there. Mini Adamas is a good looking knife. Has a bar lock to it, but yeah.
I just wish that Benchmade would use a higher tension spring. That's literally what I've realized is like the big differentiator, you know? The reason why I like my Nazca so much is because they have a really, really snappy spring tension, you know?
Yeah.
So, my lighting changed. Sorry.
Josh, what pulsar is on the chopping block for you? Do you have one of the G Mascus ones? Do you have a carbon fiber pulsar, or do you have like a titanium pulsar? Josh Worth, just curious. Surprising to think how behind our local knife makers are when talking about knife steels. They still use leaf springs, 5160, even for their premium handcrafted balisongs.
Dang. That's interesting.
I will say there are most knives that I hated on. There's like one or two that I'm like, oh, that looks kind of cool. But I will say I hate it because it looks cheap to me. Most of the time it just looks cheap. I mean, it looks like it's trying to be something it's not. Like it's trying to be cool and it's not.
Yeah, dude. I remember when I was speccing the Kaimano from Kaiser, and they sent me their material guide, and they had their G Mascus, and I looked at that, and I considered it because that was right when G Mascus was kind of hot for a minute because it was kind of the new thing. And then I really spent some time like staring at it, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna look horrible!" Like on a prototype. Like, yeah, you're
Max.
Actually, it's exactly this. This is from their material catalog they sent me. Check this out.
Oh, I have to push add to stage. Yeah.
Yeah, these ones. And I'm just like, oh.
Like that one on the end, I think it's got like green.
Yeah.
It looks like a leaf and it's just weird. I don't mind the blue as much because it's more like it looks more like grains or like striations coming down. But when it's like veined out like the white and the green and the red, that is what I really don't like.
Yeah.
Personally, at least.
Like, no, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. Blech.
Yeah.
No. Not at all. Yeah, and they call it the Damascus G10. It's like, but if you want to see like a little bit more, they've got the weaves, the different types of weaves available. All of these.
Those are cool.
Yeah. They even have like a pseudo end cut kind of deal here.
Yeah.
You know, this one reminds me of these two remind me of how they did the Growler.
Yeah.
which is nice. This style, the 3K and 6K twill, kind of old looking, not gonna lie, but these ones look really good, and the shred looks really good.
I really like the like marbled shred one. That one I think, especially when it has like that kind of gloss because it has the oiled finish to it.
Yeah.
Then it just kind of really pops and looks cool. The ones I hate, well, not hate, but the ones that bother me are the like I think Civivi and we have a couple of them with the shred carbon fiber, and then they've got like the little specks of copper or specks of silver in it.
Yeah.
It can be done nice, but most of I'm thinking of there's like the Imperium or the Praxis with it.
Yeah.
And it looks like someone had the carbon fiber, laid epoxy, and then put like 3 little sprinkles of silver. And I'm like, man, that just it just looks bad to me, at least. But
I'm with you. Like, I was kind of excited in the beginning for those. And then I started seeing more pictures of it, and I was just like, oh, that kind of looks trash. It's too much resin, not enough material,
exactly.
It's like,
I agree with this 100%, Brian. There's too many knives. Like I've got one Ultim knife. I actually think I might have 2, but I've got one that I have right here, and I got it because I didn't have an Ultim knife, and so I was like, oh, I'll pick up an Ultim knife, and I just got a Civivi button lock Ultim knife, and then everything is made in Ultim now. Like you can get Ultim in everything, and some of them are really cool, but I think the people who are out there collecting Ultim with like 6-7 different Ultim knives, it's like that's just too much to me.
I still don't have anything in Ultim.
I really like Maddie's Ultim knife that he has.
The Towser.
Yeah, the Towser. I was gonna say
Yeah.
And he's got 2. He's got a Towser in Ultim, and then he's got another Towser that's not in Ultim. But
yeah.
I'm.
You know what? I'll tell you what. There is one Ultim knife that has my attention, and it's just so expensive that I haven't pulled the trigger on it. And it's partially because it is so expensive. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if you've ever seen a Ultim knife go for $5.
No.
But this is one. Let me load it up real quick, and it's understandable because of who made it, and it's a mid tech. It's or like verging on custom, But yeah, $5, dude.
I will say this part of the Civivi Ultim. Let's see if I can get it to. Not really. There's texturing to it that just made it that much better.
This one.
That looks nice, though.
Yeah, so this is a Jens Anzo Aros, and he's done it in several materials. I keep coming back to the Ultim because that just looks really pretty. It's not.
It almost has like a micro diamond texture to it.
Yeah, and it's not also like a piss yellow Ultim. It's got like a bit of amber to it. Which I really dig, and also with this like bronzed hardware.
Yeah.
It looks really nice, actually. I mean, for all intents and purposes, like I really dig this thing. And even just to like kind of convince myself that I shouldn't get that, I've been looking at, he has a micarta one, which looks also really nice. Where is it? This guy. But I feel like the Ultim just looks a little bit better in some regards,
Yeah.
Just a little bit. But dude, this is also a sub 3-inch knife for like 525.
That's insane.
Yeah, yeah. But it's Genzanzo, so like it kind of makes sense, you know. All of his stuff is not cheap, you know.
You get free shipping over over $300.
Yeah. It better ship for free, Jesus. What would make this easier is if he did have like a Sezzle option,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but no, you got to put $100 deposit, and when the thing is ready to ship, you're charged $425.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you look here,
And 5 to 10 weeks for delivery right now too. So you're only about a month to 2.5 months out.
right, but dude, 2.5 inches overall length, 6 inches,
Yeah.
close length, 3.6 inches. This is a tiny knife.
It is a really small knife.
Yeah.
That's
And
one of those knives that I would love to like hold first just to make sure it's going to be the knife that I want.
right, exactly. And it's only in like RWL 34, which is not my favorite steel.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, dude, 525 for that thing.
Yeah.
Man. This is, yeah, I'm with you. This is one of those things I'll look to check out at Blade Show.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's really not like stellar, like I'm going to carry this like every single day, then
Yeah.
I just can't justify it. Like it's so much money. It's so
Yeah.
much for something so small, you
Mm-hmm.
know? I don't know. Does everybody else think I'm crazy for liking that knife?
I don't think it's crazy at all. I mean, I like it. I'm looking at it now and I'm like, dang, I would actually really love to get that. But it's like you said, it's $500, and like I don't know how that size is gonna feel or fit, and that's part of it too.
Mm-hmm. Like the only knives that I have that are like sub 3 inch are like my push button auto launch, for
Mm-hmm.
example. And this is getting close to that like size, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of like, really, man, like I don't know. That's a big one, a big ask, and especially Blade HQ did a Kershaw Launch 4, which is a push button auto with a spear point blade, and the show side is all temp. And I'm like, I can pay $120 for that and feel like I got most of the experience, you know? So, because yeah, that's what 1.9 inch blade. It's only like a half inch difference. Like this is the launch 4 from Kershaw and Blade HQ. I just shared the screen. Oh, hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? And apparently we had some technical difficulties, but I'm sure WKE, you're going to be back in a second. And but thank you guys, by the way, for hanging out. Like some of you guys, like Crispy, I know you're up super late. Psycho, I don't know what time is it for you right now, Psycho? Cole, I know you're up like crazy hours for sure. But we definitely we both appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us, man. It's awesome, man. I'm coming for you, Neil. Okay, Psycho. So yeah, you're in Asia, correct? If I'm not mistaken. I believe so. That's what you've told me in the past. Oh yeah, let me check out this Ultem Rook, dude. Ah, the Philippines. Nice, dude. A lot of my friends from when I first moved to LA were Filipino, and you guys have an awesome culture. You guys rock. Yeah, man. The funniest moment I ever had with my friend's family is so when I first moved to California, my family was back in Michigan, so I couldn't fly back for every holiday. So I went over to my friend's house for Thanksgiving, and when I went over, my friend's dad and mom were drunk and doing karaoke, man. And so his dad was like a fairly short guy, but incredibly powerful. He saw me, he was like, Sherif! And he threw his arm around my neck, got me into a headlock, and started forcing me to sing karaoke in Tagalog. And I don't know how to pronounce anything in Tagalog. He's like, it's written there in English. You can just read it. So I did that for a while. I like stumbled through singing karaoke in Tagalog. he, my friends were just sitting in the kitchen, staring at me, laughing for like a half an hour. This is definitely one of my cherished memories of like my early days in LA. But dude, give me some Filipino food, and I'm a happy man. Actually, very very happy man. Oh, dude, I hope everything is all right. I've been checking to see if I got any messages from him uh, on Instagram, but so far nothing is popping up. So I don't want to run the stream too long without work time because this is his channel. But my suspicion, oh yeah, he just messaged me. It's like my internet just went out. Um, yeah, Psycho, it's awesome, man. It is awesome, and I love I love hanging out and drinking with my Filipino friends. Oh, he has returned.
I am very slow coming back. I'm using my cell phone as a hotspot for my laptop to get this to work. So I'm probably gonna cut in and out, but um, very abrupt ending. And I wish we had more time. For some reason, the internet's out with all the weather here and stuff going on, and there really isn't that bad of weather. But our modem's just like spinning yellow right now. So we'll probably wind it down and. We'll have to do this again though, because this was really fun.
Hell yeah, dude! I'm always game. I'm always game.
Cool.
We got to get Brian on here too and talk a little bit more about
yes.
Steels.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Y'all have a good night.
Peace.